Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to my lovely one subscriber that has been following me. If you are new here on my channel, we discuss all things academia and minimalism. So if that is interesting to you, please feel free to subscribe and like this video if you have found it helpful. Today we're going to focus on how you can study smarter in 3 steps. Why? Because it will improve your study habits and ultimately save time so you can do the things that you love, like anime. Watch a lot of anime. First, what is your learning style? This is, as the name suggests, your preference on how you like to learn and attain new information. Many persons I found focus mainly on the technique aspect and they neglect this aspect. So I really think that it's important for you to at least know this in order to proceed to the technique, because it's like putting the cart before the horse. It's learning a technique and let's say it does not even apply to how you learn best. There are many different learning style models, but we'll be using the VARK model. This model consists of visual, auditory, read and write, and kinesthetic, which is the visual learning style, learn by sight, the auditory learning style, learn by hearing, and read and write, you learn by reading and writing. Lastly, kinesthetic, you learn by touch. If you're unsure what is your particular learning style or your more dominant style, I would advise you to take a few minutes and do a free online learning style quiz. I did one and it took about 5 to 10 minutes, and that's doing the quiz and receiving results and getting my feedback on what I can do based on that site's opinion. So I can link it in the description below if you would like to use mine, or you can just check out any other free, or if you want to do a paid one, that's fine too. But it's really helpful in understanding what exactly your learning style is. Now that you have established what your learning style is, you can now move on to number 2. What you can do for each style to maximize your studies. First, start with visual. For visual, you can use images, diagrams, graphics, and charts. You can also use maps, mind maps. You can also use highlighters, flashcards. And as a visual learner, something that I found that is very helpful, or something that's rather, is that you make your study area very appealing to the eyes. Start designing your study space the way you want it to be. Make it comfortable. You can also ensure that it has enough space. Set the lighting, keep it clean, and personalize it. You can add a shelf, put a clock on your wall, add flowers, a plant, your vision board, your study timetable, make it very colorful. Next thing that you can do as well, when your professor or your teacher is speaking, ensure that you look directly at them. This is where improving your focus is important as a visual learner. So there are techniques for that, and I'll speak more about that later. Write things down because you remember them better. And a sad news for persons that were trying in groups or love studying in groups, if it's not working out for you as a visual learner, there's a high possibility that that is because you study best by yourself. So if you tried that and it's not working out, try studying by yourself and see if that's going to help you. Read the summary overview. Something that I found very helpful personally is that, let's say you need to read a long, documentary about Niccolo Machiavelli and you have no idea who that is. You can Google it, look at some pictures of him, observe his facial features. Does he have a beard? What color is his eyes? get some details. What clothes does he wear? The home he lived in? What did the era look like when he was alive? And just get a lot of details as you can concerning that person or place or thing or whatever it is that you're about to read about to really give you an image in your mind or many images when you're reading. Especially if the book does not have a lot of pictures or any pictures at all, it's going to help you as a visual learner to be able to commit to reading, and you might even surprise yourself and find it very interesting even though it's not very visually appealing to you. Next and last on the list, I would say flashcards are very important and helpful to visual learners. You can just try to make them more colorful, and you can also use highlighters when you're studying and try to mix it up. Get different colors, many as, as colorful as you can, the better for you. And of course, there is a method to all of that madness with the coloring. So again, I'll talk more about that later. Now, auditory learners. A lot of these are straightforward, but this is just to give you a perspective on what exactly I mean when I see certain things. Listening. Work in quiet areas to reduce distractions. So this means avoid doors, avoid windows, avoid crowded classes, anywhere that you might get some type of loud feedback when you're studying. Just try to avoid those altogether. You can also, what I found helpful as an auditory learner, you can read your notes out loud, read your test questions out loud if you can, or subvocalize. It's not highly recommended by a lot of persons, but for this particular learning style, it is going to help tremendously. The next would be group discussions. You can use verbal brainstorming, tape recording, writing, and proofing. Also, leave space in your lecture notes for later recall and filing. Expand your notes by chatting with others and collecting notes from your textbook. You can examine illustrations in textbooks and convert them into verbal descriptions. Use recorders to document your lectures and your reading materials. Lastly, mnemonic devices. You can use mnemonics, rhymes, jingles, and auditory repetition through tape to improve memory and recall for later auditory learning. Next learning style would be read and write. Since read and write learners mainly rely on their notes for their learning, it goes without saying that the notes you take needs to be concise, clear, and accurate. Now, what can you do as for this particular learning style? You can translate charts, diagrams into words or compose short explanations for them. You can write down instructions for every step of any process or procedure. Keep your notes organized with subheadings, bullet points, and lists. Use different color pens and highlighters. Highlight keywords as you write. Make sure you include many details. Rewrite and reread your notes after class. Print out your notes for later review. Compare your notes with someone else's. Combine your handouts with your notes. And lastly, do practice exams. Next, for kinesthetic learners, use all the manipulative study strategies you can think of. Now, for example, write visuals such as concept maps, timelines, charts, graphs, make models, use your fingers, for example, for counting off items you are reviewing. Prepare or use index cards, use the movement of your body to increase attention of your study. For example, you can chew gum, you can paste, you can use a rocking chair, or you can also tap your foot or your pencil. If you're going to use your body to move and learn, you may want to do this when you're writing an exam. So, just to keep that in mind when you're selecting the way that you're going to use movement. Now, this takes us to number three, which is the study techniques. There is a plethora of effective study techniques out there, and there is also a lot of noise, as I've mentioned earlier, that is surrounding what exactly you should do in order to get the best results. There are some that are universal to all types of learning, such as having a better focus, but there are some that might work particularly for your learning style. Now, earlier I gave you exactly what would work best for you. So, let's say, for example, your learning style, you work best with flashcards. There is an effective way to create flashcards. There are so many different techniques that you can use, but it takes a little bit of time to learn it, and I really don't want my video to be long and drawn out. Great. So now that we all know our learning style, we all know what we can do in order to capitalize on them, and now we can pair them with the appropriate techniques in order to get results. If you want an in-depth explanation of certain types of techniques, be sure to check out my other videos. Just search the type that you're looking for, and I'll link one in the description to get you started. End of this video, I hope that you have found some part of it or all of it helpful. If you did, please be sure to click like and subscribe. I would appreciate it very much. That's all for now. For watching, and until the next video, bye.